Bernie Sanders and Mike Bloomberg went at it pretty aggressively at the debate on Tuesday night. Watch this.
Mayor Bloomberg has a solid and strong and enthusiastic base of support. Problem is, they're all billionaires. Now, if you look... On the other hand, of the last 50 polls that have been done nationally, Mr. Bloomberg, I beat Trump 47 of those 50 times. If you look at battleground states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, polling just
the
done
polls
this Sunday,
aren't the election.
I beat Trump. And if you want to beat Trump, what you're going to need is an unprecedented grassroots movement of black and white and Latino, Native American and Asian people who are standing up and fighting for justice.
Can anybody in this room imagine moderate Republicans going over and voting for him? And
Absolutely.
You have to do that or you can't win.
The answer to that question is yes. Not only can I imagine it, it already happened. So just so you understand, guys, in 2016, Bernie versus Hillary, Bernie won the self-described moderates and conservatives. The voters who self-described as moderate and conservative picked Bernie Sanders over Hillary Clinton by wide margins. Now, you might say, well, that's 2016. Things probably changed. No. From the entrance and exit polls, I remember specifically the entrance polls from Nevada, Bernie absolutely crushed with self-described moderate and conservative voters. So the answer to your question, Mike, is yes, I can imagine that, and it's already happened. Here's what I can't imagine. You winning a general election by any stretch of the imagination. And in fact, if I was on that debate stage and he was coming after me like, could you imagine this guy winning over moderate Republican voters? My response to him would have been, you can't even win over Democratic voters. Are you kidding me? You bought your way on the stage, $300,000 donation to the DNC, got them to change the rules. That's why you're standing there, because you're a corrupt oligarch. So, it's just a terrible point from him. He really doesn't understand the way politics works. He thinks like, oh, if you just run a Democrat who sounds like a Republican, they'll automatically win. Well, if that was the case, we'd already have a President Hillary Clinton now, wouldn't we? Moderates have repeatedly got wiped out, man, and we've spoken about this before. I've given, a lot of evidence to this effect, but John Kerry lost to George W. Bush in 2004. Imagine losing to George W. Bush in 2004. It's pathetic because he ran as Bush light. He ran as Republican light. The Hillary Clinton example, losing 1,000 seats under Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. It wasn't until this left-wing wave in the last election that Democrats did well. So, go away, man. Go away. It's so obnoxious. You got this guy who thinks he can control the narrative and control the process because he's a multi-billionaire. And basically he has been doing that, but Bernie Sanders' responses there were awesome. So he said, listen, the polls show I beat Trump. 47 of the last 50 polls show I beat Trump. I'm doing better than anybody else on stage here up against Trump. I am the most electable. And one of the main reasons for that, guys, is Bernie's best states are the Rust Belt states. He's winning in every single Rust Belt state in the polls right now in the primary. So you can't say he's the weakest. It is objectively untrue. He's the strongest according to the evidence that we have right now. Now, it's subject to change like anything else, but right now that's crystal clear. So, he says, polls show I beat Trump. Correct. And then the other point is, and he's been making this a lot, is I'm the movement candidate. The only way you beat Trump is with a movement. I'm the only movement candidate on this stage. You guys are all, weirdos tiptoeing and following the rule book of how you think a politician should act to get elected. And that's why, who shows up to your rallies? Nobody. Because you're not movement candidates. You're the safe option that generates no excitement. And in fact, it'd be the opposite of safe. You'd get your asses handed to you in a general election. Bloomberg would get destroyed by Trump. Oh my God, he would get obliterated. And then finally, at the beginning, when Bernie basically said yeah, sure, you got support. It's from billionaires. You heard the booing in the audience. Guys, the DNC packed this room. Now, you might say, oh, come on, Kyle, it's conspiracy theory. No, you know how much it costs to get in that room? About $2,000 per ticket. You're not going to have somebody who's, part of the Fight for 15 movement in there, or a union worker, or, or somebody who's struggling to pay the medical bills, they're not going to be in that room. That room is full of Democratic elites. When you say to somebody like Mike Bloomberg, yeah, you have supporters from billionaires, that's just true. He bought the little support he has through his barrage of misleading ads where he pretends like Obama endorsed him even though he didn't. So Bernie saying that is accurate, and then the audience booed. Because the audience is corrupt. The audience are full of, DNC lobbyists and special interests. And by the way, I was really hoping that he would point that out. There's another point, I don't know if we have it in our clips, but there's another point where they're going after Bernie on Cuba and Bernie's schooling them on Cuba. And Bernie points out the fact that Obama said the exact same thing he did. That, hey, Cuba has problems, they're authoritarian, their economy's not the best, but they did increase literacy to 99% or over 99%. So, they taught people to read, and that's a positive thing. The audience starts booing him. And Bernie goes, really? Really? Like, you're going to boo a fact? That's what you're going to do. You're going to boo a fact. And he brings up the Obama thing and they boo. He's like, it's true. It's true. What do you want me to tell you? So I wish that Bernie did an okay job. He handled it well. But this reminded me of in 2016. This happened with Trump, too. There was one of the debates where the RNC did the same thing. They packed the room with all the high dollar donors and they were booing Trump relentlessly. And at one point, he stopped, he pointed at the audience, he goes, you see all them right there? That's all Jeb's special interests and donors and lobbyists right there. I'm not taking money from those lobbyists. They're all corrupt. Trump went on to handily win that debate. And we all know what happened after that. So yeah, Bernie should lean into that, lean into the criticism of the Democratic establishment, the media, the corrupt audience in this case. So I hated watching this debate because it was so desperate and unfair and hacky. But the good news is most people saw that. And when they saw that, they said, oh, Bernie's the guy. Because again, the only polls we have, the snap polls from after the debate, show him winning, Bernie winning. So they're trying to take that crown, but it ain't working.